and Cory Winslow, who is with Custom US Disaster Restoration. Yeah. Cory, tell us what the scope of work is that you do. And
what I really am in charge of is putting the house back together after something happens to the house. The water loss, the fire.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the claims are leaky pipes, frozen pipes.
Yeah.
People turn their heat down too far when they go on vacation and things along those lines.
Yeah.
How far is too far down?
I usually say you want to keep your house at 65.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people want to go down to 50 if they're gone for the whole winter.
Right.
The Florida birds and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't like the too cold because it can also crack your drywall. Even if you don't have an insurance claim, you can shrink stuff. You can get cracks in drywall, things along those lines.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
That's really interesting. Yeah. So you work with homeowners to restore their house after it's been damaged in some way.
Correct.
Water, fire, whatever. And you're their advocate to their insurance company too?
Yes, we deal with the insurance adjuster. They call and make their claim. Okay. And they can say that they're working with me.
Okay.
And me and the adjuster will communicate through the whole process of deciding what was damaged from what happened, if it was a water loss or if it was fire, what's damage of the smoke, because smoke is usually the worst of the fire claim. It's not usually the fire. Because smoke, if the fire gets pressurized, it will... it'll get inside the walls, it'll get inside the ductwork, and it's hard to track it down. So if it's too big of a pressurized fire, the fire could be the size of a stove, but the whole house could be gutted down to studs.
Just because
there's so much smoke inside the walls. And if you leave a quarter size spot of smoke somewhere in the house and it gets too warm in the summer, you end up smelling it. You'll get some whiffs of it. So you
literally a quarter
size spot. If you leave it in a outlet or something, you don't change something out. You can smell it if you're plugging something in and it's 80 degrees and the humidity's going, and you could get a little whiff of it. So
that is interesting.
It gets inside outlets.
Yeah.
And any power, any electrical that gets wet. And if you have a fire, there's usually water on it. So those wires all have to be changed. So sometimes it's just cheaper to take everything out of the house and start new from the framing up.
Wow.
I've seen dehumidifiers multiple times that have caught on fire.
And they're because they have like a lint buildup.
I don't know. It's small. It's smaller appliances.
Is it because of the power cord being too small?
No, I can't answer that. I don't know why, but I've seen them where it's just melted to the floor and the whole house got gutted. Because it put itself out.
Yeah.
It just went everywhere in the house. The smoke is what does most of the damage in a fire.
Yeah.
And then water just goes everywhere. Walls don't stop water. Floors don't stop water.
Right.
It goes everywhere.
Yeah.
And frozen pipes and lack of maintenance on drains are probably a lot of the problems.
Yeah. So what you're seeing most often right now in houses, we're shooting this in the middle of winter, so you're seeing a good deal of frozen pipes and fire.
Yes, because the colder it is, more people are using space heaters.
Right.
More people are turning their furnaces on, starting fires in their fireplaces. Just different things like that you're putting heat and you're putting fire inside a house.
Yeah.
It's considered fire season. In the months of that you heat your house is considered fire season.
Yeah.
So you see more fires than water damage.
In the winter, a lot of the water damage happens when you start thawing out.
Right. That makes sense.
Because if you don't realize your upstairs bathroom that you don't use has frozen pipes, it's not leaking when the pipe is frozen. It's when it thaws out, it starts leaking. So leaving your hose on your hose bib, your hose spigot outside, could freeze the spigot and it won't leak even if it thaws out.
Right.
It starts leaking when you turn it on. And you're outside watering your grass and you're also flooding your basement.
Yeah.
Wow.
That makes a lot of sense.
So it's a good reason to have a small yard.
Or not water your grass.
Right, yeah. So we're going to continue this conversation and kind of give some advice. We want you to tune in for our next video because Cory's going to tell us how to avoid some of these bigger claims. And how to not have disaster in your house. Is there anything other than water loss, smoke, fire that you've seen that you're restoring a property? It's a cost of restoring
wind.
property. Wind.
Wind is wind's a big thing. I mean, you have the storm damage of trees falling or just the roof getting blown off. And then there's always the car impact. There's the police chase. There's the running the stop sign, hitting a car, and it ricochets into a building. Have a lot of car impact.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. And I think one final valuable thing for us to hear now is the restoration process, because there are a number of disaster relief, disaster restoration companies, but not everybody has the full scope of what you do. Some companies will just rip out the old, make sure that it's there's no more damaged material, but they won't actually bring it up to the level of restoration that you guys do. Can you describe what that process looks like for you all?
Well, I mean, it depends on which claim you have.
Right.
And that's all dealt with in multiple stages of the claim. Mm-hmm. There's the emergency service part, and that's the part where we get the tree off the house, we tarp the roof.
Right.
We come in and we tear out all wet damage from a water loss. Anything wet, we dry it out. We stop it. We're preventing further damage.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting it dry.
Mm-hmm.
We're spraying so we don't have any growth.
Yeah.
When it comes to fire, the emergency service part usually is board up the windows.
Right.
Make it safe, clean up the debris around the property so a neighbor kid doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the first phase of it. And that is usually done where you don't even have to have the permission of your insurance company to do that.
Right.
Because you're preventing further damage.
Right.
The second part is you have to determine what was damaged, the scope of work, what needs to be moved out of the house.
Yeah.
If you have a water loss in your kitchen, we have to take your cabinets out.
Yeah.
Everything in your cabinets probably didn't get water damage, but we have to take them out. We have to store them.
Yeah.
Get them out of the way to do the work. So that's the contents division that would come in, and we'd clean everything of the contents, and contents is anything in your house that moves isn't attached to your house.
Yeah.
So we can store that off site, and then the next phase would be the reconstruction, the repair.
Mm-hmm.
We'd come in, we'd start asking you what color you want your walls painted.
Yeah.
Do you want to change the color of your cabinets? Here's your allowance for your cabinets.
Right.
We need to start ordering things that take the longest to get.
Yeah.
The last phase is the reconstruction.
Yeah.
So the contents phase might not ever happen if there's nothing in the way to do the repair.
Right.
I mean, moving a grill 10 feet outside to do some siding repair is different than
a total house loss.
Where you're taking all the contents out and cleaning the contents.
Right.
Yeah. Smoke, the whole house, everything in the house usually needs to be cleaned. So the whole house will get packed out. You have to find temporary housing for the customer that can't live in their house while you're working.
Yeah.
Some losses they say if they have a workable bathroom and a kitchen, then even if they don't have bedrooms to sleep in, it's still livable because they have a bathroom and a kitchen. So it depends on the insurance company.
Interesting. Yeah.
The adjuster makes those decisions, and I just work alongside them. And
So this is going to be a little bit of a, maybe you don't want to answer the question, but you probably found some insurance companies easier to work with than others.
It really goes to your agent.
Right.
You want a good agent knowing what they're doing to give you the correct coverages, because the adjuster only enforces
the coverage
that they're allowed to do.
All right. Wow. That's incredibly thorough and so in depth. We're going to wrap up this part of our conversation, and we're going to continue on and talk about how we can avoid some of this damage, this loss in our house. We'd love for you to join us. That video will be posted in the future. If you do have a need to contact Cory, we'll make sure that we include that information in the description of the video, down below, up above, wherever it is that you're seeing it. So, thanks, Cory, for joining us. This is my mind is just all kinds of going crazy right now.
Cory, thank you so very much.
And thanks for joining us.